Israel has bombed Yemen's international airport as part of its continuing airstrikes against the Houthis. One airport official told AFP, quote, Sana's international airport was completely destroyed. Well, Shimon Myers, the CEO of Alliance to Reinforce Israel's Security and Economy, is here with the details. So, my brother, what can you tell us about this event? Why did Israel strike the airport?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on, and I'll just say that is a very good question. I think there are a lot of questions you could ask. One would be, why didn't Israel attack sooner? But I would say, in lieu of recent events, here's what we know. We know that Yemen has been firing missiles at Israel since October 7th of 2023. The vast majority of them have been intercepted. A couple days ago, a missile had been failed to be intercepted. I believe, from what I understand, there were two attempts to intercept that missile that both failed. And so that missile did land very close to Ben Gurion Airport in Israel, which is Israel's only international airport. And I believe that this attack was in response to that. And then, shortly after this missile landed in Israel, one of the Houthi leaders made a pretty bold statement on TV saying that they had every intention of creating a complete blockade of Israel that would inhibit commercial airlines from reaching Israel. And I believe that this is Israel's response to that.
So do you think this is more of a message, or in what ways did this actually hinder or hurt the Houthis' capabilities and abilities to attack? Or is this basically just a message?
I think it's both. From what I understand now, I believe that Yemen has 13 airports or something to that effect. And half of them, I think, are international airports, but this is their main international airport. It is also the airport, as I understand it, that is highly strategic, through which arms are coming from Iran and other places that are used in these missile attacks on Israel. So there certainly is a strategic element to this attack in terms of disabling that capacity and ability to continually attack Israel. We do know that there was also a cement plant, a concrete plant that was attacked pretty adjacent to their port, which is believed that was some of the concrete that was used in building the infrastructure, the tunnel of terrors underneath Gaza that have again been used to attack Israel.
So I know you have a very interesting personal connection with the Yemenis people. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah. With a certain group of the Yemenis people. And it's actually interesting. A lot of people, when they start to ask these questions about why Israel does what it does, they don't understand all of the nuance and all of the complexities that go into life in Israel. And what it's like to just administer the first of all the natural laws for all living things, which is self-preservation, right? How do we just survive? And most people don't know that by law in Israel, when you build a home, you have to build a bomb shelter into it. One of the rooms in your house has to be a designated shelter. And, most of the world can't even conceive of that, and having missiles being fired at you every single day, having to access that shelter regularly. And those are steps that are taken by the Israeli government to protect their people. All of that to say, when we first moved to Israel, there were about 400,000 over 400,000 Yemenites or descendants of Yemenites, people that consider themselves of Yemenite descent, living in Israel. A lot of the world doesn't know that. And when we first moved to Israel, myself and my brother, who Kalev, and our family, we moved to a place called En Kerem, which is the place that Mary met Elizabeth. It's a pretty significant tourist destination in Israel. But we lived down in a valley in Israel that was called Emek HaTemanim. So the road that we lived on was actually Rehov, Emek HaTemanim in Hebrew, which means the Yemenite Valley Road. And the reason was because it was mostly Yemenites that lived on that road. And in fact, my first childhood friends were of Yemeni descent. And I was actually in Israel a couple weeks ago visiting with my very first and closest childhood friend. He was actually our landlord's son. And I was spending some time with them. They had lost their son very, very recently, of course, in the October 7th attacks. He was a soldier that was serving at Nir Oz base, and was unfortunately killed defending the kibbutzim down in the south. And so we were visiting them, just laughing and crying together and just spending some time together. And sure enough, the sirens go off in the middle of this time that we're having together, sharing this beautiful time together, as a missile is being fired at Israel from Yemen. So I'm with my I'm with my Yemeni friends, and here's a missile being fired at us from Yemen. It was intercepted, and we could hear those concussions. But just for people to get a little perspective on what it's like, they invited us over on relatively short notice to spend some time with them. They have a beautiful patio they had set up, and of course, it was their desire that we would spend our evening on the patio. And here in the middle of it, we're interrupted by the sirens, and we have to now be evacuated to their shelter, their bomb shelter, which happened to be their master bedroom. And I remember the wife, my friend's wife, Racheli, being very apologetic because she hadn't had a chance after work to make the bed in her master bedroom that we had to be evacuated to for safety. And that's just a day in the life of every Israeli. You can't even have a normal get together with old friends without being interrupted. And then people don't realize just even the sociological effect. Imagine you sitting at home and you got to bring your friends, let's say you have friends over. Now you have to bring them into your bedroom, and you had a busy day and, didn't get a chance to make the bed. It's unthinkable. So
wow.
Maybe that'll give people some insight into why Israel has to defend themselves in this manner.
That is an absolutely fascinating perspective. Shimon, you and your brother Kalev, I can't think of two people that I've ever met that are able to articulate the complexities. And it's important that we realize the nuances and the things that just painted a full picture of how incredible this whole situation is. So let me ask you, I'm going to have you back on, Shimon, because I love your clarity. But let me ask you this question in closing. Do you see this conflict between the Houthis and Israel escalating? Where do you see this thing going? We did a video literally yesterday about something very similar. And I think it's easy for folks to contextualize, okay, Hamas is in Gaza, right on the border with Israel. Hezbollah on the border of Lebanon, right there on the border with Israel. All the jihadi groups in Syria, right there on the border with Israel. It just seems like a conflict that doesn't need to happen. But where do you see this thing going?
Yeah, so look, yes, there is a bit more distance between Yemen and Israel, but it's certainly within proximity that Yemen can reach us with their ballistic missiles and are continually firing ballistic missiles. And it's important to understand that the Houthis in Yemen and Hezbollah in Syria and just as Hamas in Gaza are all proxies of Iran. And it's really Iran that Israel is focusing on, and they're pretty vocal about that. I don't think there's any secret behind that. And I think that's a big question: is where is that entire conflict going? I did see a statement. I'm not sure if you saw it. It was made a short time ago by Trump,
I did see that,
letting the world know that the Houthis had essentially capitulated and didn't want any more of this fight. And Trump made the guarantee that the bombing and the attacks will stop as long as the Houthis keep up their end of that bargain. Yet to be seen how that factors into the Israeli equation. I did not hear him make any statement specifically with regard to the attacks on Israel ceasing from the Houthis. So we'll see what happens. But certainly, if the Houthis continue to attack and threaten the state of Israel, we can certainly count on this broadening. That is not the desire of Israel, but the first responsibility of every government in the world should be to protect its citizens, and Israel is most certainly committed to that.
Shimon, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.